On April 1st, 2025, a massive earthquake ripped through the heart of Myanmar. The earth shook with a magnitude of 7.7, leaving behind a trail of destruction and despair. Buildings crumbled, homes were reduced to rubble, and lives were lost in an instant. The epicenter, located in the Sagaing region, bore the brunt of the earthquake's fury. However, the impact extended far beyond, reaching major cities like Mandalay and leaving the entire nation reeling in shock. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. Dust filled the air, obscuring the sun and casting an eerie pall over the affected areas. The ground was littered with debris, making it treacherous to navigate. Cries for help pierced the air, a stark reminder of the human cost of this natural disaster. As the dust settled, the true extent of the devastation began to emerge, revealing a nation grappling with unimaginable loss and facing an arduous road to recovery. The earthquake's impact on Myanmar was immediate and devastating. Thousands of buildings collapsed, roads were torn apart, and communication lines were severed. The country's already fragile infrastructure was crippled, making it incredibly difficult to assess the damage and deliver aid to those in need. Hospitals, already struggling with limited resources, were overwhelmed with the injured, forcing medical professionals to make impossible choices in the face of overwhelming need. The official death toll, as reported by the military junta, stood at over 2,700, with thousands more injured and missing. However, independent estimates painted a grimmer picture, suggesting that the actual number of casualties could be significantly higher. The United States Geological Survey, for instance, estimated that the death toll could exceed 10,000, highlighting the difficulty of obtaining accurate information in the disaster's immediate aftermath. Mandalay, Myanmar's second-largest city and a cultural hub, was among the hardest hit by the earthquake. Once a bustling metropolis, Mandalay was transformed into a scene of widespread destruction. Iconic landmarks, some dating back centuries, lay in ruins, their once grand facades now reduced to piles of rubble. The city's streets, once teeming with life, were eerily quiet save for the sounds of sirens and the desperate cries for help. The earthquake's impact on Mandalay's infrastructure was catastrophic. Buildings, both old and new, crumbled under the force of the tremors. The Sky Villa condominium, a symbol of the city's recent development, collapsed, trapping residents beneath its wreckage. Hospitals, already operating at capacity, were overwhelmed with the injured, their resources stretched thin in the face of such widespread devastation. The earthquake's toll on human life in Mandalay was immense. Corpses lay in the streets, a grim testament to the scale of the tragedy. The stench of death permeated the air, a constant reminder of the lives lost and the loved ones left behind. Mass cremations became a grim necessity, a heartbreaking but necessary measure to prevent the spread of disease in the aftermath of the disaster. The earthquake had stripped Mandalay of its vibrancy, leaving behind a city grappling with profound loss and facing an uncertain future. The physical scars of the disaster were evident everywhere, but it was the emotional toll, the unseen wounds inflicted on the city's people, that would prove the most enduring. In the wake of the earthquake, the people of Mandalay found themselves facing a daily struggle for survival. Their homes destroyed, many were forced to seek refuge in makeshift shelters, exposed to the elements and vulnerable to disease. Food and water, already in short supply before the disaster, became even more scarce, leading to long lines at distribution points and growing desperation among those who had lost everything. The earthquake had shattered not only buildings, but also the fabric of their lives. Families were torn apart, with loved ones missing or presumed dead. The trauma of the experience, of losing everything in an instant, left deep emotional scars on the survivors. Children in particular were profoundly affected, their sense of security and normalcy shattered by the disaster. The lack of adequate sanitation facilities in the makeshift camps posed a serious health risk, particularly for children and the elderly. The threat of waterborne diseases such as cholera and typhoid loomed large, adding another layer of urgency to the already dire situation. Medical supplies were running dangerously low, making it difficult to treat even the most basic injuries. The people of Mandalay displayed remarkable resilience in the face of adversity, coming together to support one another and share what little they had. Neighbors helped neighbors, offering food, water, and a shoulder to cry on. Their spirit, unbroken despite the immense challenges they faced, served as a beacon of hope amidst the devastation. The earthquake struck Myanmar at a time when the country was already grappling with a complex and volatile political situation. The military junta, which had seized power in a coup in 2021, had been engaged in a brutal crackdown on dissent, further exacerbating the humanitarian crisis that had plagued the country for years. This pre-existing conflict significantly hampered relief efforts in the aftermath of the earthquake.